My husband called me a cheating liar while I was 7 months pregnant, and our 5-year-old daughter stood in the hallway holding her stuffed bunny like it was the only safe thing left in the house. The kitchen smelled like chicken soup, garlic bread, and fear. Rain slapped against the windows of our brick colonial house in Arlington, Virginia, hard enough to make the old frames rattle. I had one hand under my belly because the baby had been kicking all evening, and the other hand was gripping the counter because my knees had started to shake. Ethan stood across from me with a stack of glossy photos in his hand. His face looked like someone had carved anger into it. "Tell me the truth, Claire," he said. "Is that baby mine?" For a second, I could not even breathe. Our daughter, Lily, made a small sound from the hallway. "Daddy?" Ethan did not turn around. He did not comfort her. He did not tell her everything was okay. He kept staring at me as if I had become a stranger wearing his wife's skin. The photos were spread across the kitchen island. Me standing near the front porch. Me talking to a man in a gray work shirt. Me smiling a little, one hand on my lower back, my head tilted in that tired pregnant way. In one picture, his hand was raised toward the gutter pipe. In another, because of the angle, it almost looked like he was touching my arm. Almost. That word was enough for a woman like my mother-in-law. Marilyn Hayes had built an entire life out of almost. Almost proof. Almost concern. Almost kindness. She never yelled. She never had to. She could walk into a room with a pearl necklace, soft perfume, and a casserole dish, and somehow leave everyone feeling guilty for crimes they had not committed. She met him twice, Marilyn said from the doorway. I had not even heard her come in. She stood there in her cream coat, dry despite the storm, her silver hair perfectly sprayed into place. She looked less like a worried mother and more like a judge arriving late to a trial she had already decided. I turned to Ethan. "He's the handyman. You told me to call someone because the laundry room was leaking." Ethan's jaw tightened. "Mom said she saw you with him at the park." I took Lily to the park after preschool. He was there fixing the community center fence. I said hello because I recognized him. "My inside." "Claire, sweetheart, lying in front of a child only makes it worse." That sweetheart landed like a slap. I looked at her. "You don't get to call me that." Ethan slammed his palm on the island so hard one of the photos slid onto the floor. Lily flinched. "You always do this," he said. "You always attack my mother." "No," I said. "Your mother has been attacking our family for years, and you keep calling it concern." His eyes went cold. "Don't twist this." I almost laughed because if I did not laugh, I would break. Twist this. As if I was the one twisting a handyman into an affair. As if I was the one turning a leaking pipe into a paternity scandal. Marilyn stepped closer. "A husband has a right to know if he's raising another man's child." The baby kicked under my palm. Hard. Like he hurt her. "He's your grandson," I said. Marilyn's mouth barely moved. "We don't know that." Something inside me went still. I swallowed it all because Ethan loved his mother. Or maybe because Ethan feared her. There is a difference. I thought grief would soften her. Instead, it made her more possessive. If Ethan brought me flowers, Marilyn would say, "I guess mothers don't get roses anymore." If Lily ran to me first after preschool, Marilyn would smile tightly and say, "Children always cling to whoever trains them best." If Ethan and I went to dinner alone, she would call halfway through, breathless, claiming she felt dizzy. Every time I complained, Ethan said the same thing. "She's intense, Claire. She's not evil." No. Not evil. Dangerous. The danger sharpened when I got pregnant with our second child. I told Ethan first. He cried, put his forehead against my belly even though I was barely showing, and whispered, "Please be healthy. Please be ours to keep." For 2 days, I believed we were happy. Then Marilyn came over. She stared at the ultrasound photo on our fridge the way some women stare at a rival. "Another baby," she said. Lily jumped around the kitchen, yelling, "I'm gonna be a big sister." Marilyn smiled at Lily. Then she looked at me. "Well," she said softly, "I suppose now my son will be completely replaced." I tried to keep my voice even. "No one is replacing anyone." She touched the ultrasound photo with one finger. "We'll see." I should have heard the threat. I should have listened when Mrs. Alvarez from across the street stopped me by the mailbox 1 week before my life blew apart. Mrs. Alvarez was 72, widowed, and knew every car that entered our street. She wore bright cardigans and garden gloves and had a doorbell camera before any of us even thought we needed one. "Claire," she said, lowering her voice. "I saw your mother-in-law outside the pharmacy yesterday." "That sounds normal." "With a young man." "He had a camera." I looked up from the mail. "A camera?" She gave him an envelope. A cold feeling moved through my chest. "Maybe it was nothing," Mrs. Alvarez said. But she looked around before she did it. People only look around like that when they know they're doing something ugly. I told myself not to be paranoid. Nobody wants to believe a grandmother would set a trap for the mother of her grandchildren. Then the handyman came. Then the photos appeared. Then Ethan stopped touching my belly when the baby moved. He started checking my phone when I showered. He asked why I wore mascara to the grocery store. He asked why I closed the laundry room door while I folded clothes. He asked why I seemed nervous. I seemed nervous because I was living with a man waiting for permission to hate me. That night, Marilyn arrived during the storm carrying a brown envelope. She did not knock. She used the key Ethan had never taken back from her. "I'm sorry," she told him, placing the envelope on our kitchen island. I tried to stay out of it. But I couldn't let my son be humiliated. I stared at Ethan. "You knew she was coming?" He looked away. That hurt worse than the photos. Marilyn slid them out one by one like evidence on a courtroom table. The angles were dirty. Deliberate. Me near the handyman's truck. Me laughing because he had told Lily that squirrels were union workers stealing acorns on the clock. Me reaching out to grab Lily's backpack while he stood beside me. Nothing happened in those photos. But nothing can look like something when someone wants to destroy you. "You paid someone to follow me," I said. Marilyn's eyes widened with practiced innocence. "I did what any mother would do." "No. You did what a sick woman would do." Ethan pointed at me. "Stop." I turned to him, shocked. "Stop what?" "Stop talking to her like that. She hired someone to stalk your pregnant wife. You don't know that. Then ask her." He did not. That silence told me everything. Lily stepped farther into the kitchen, barefoot, hair messy from sleep, her stuffed bunny crushed against her chest. "Mommy," she whispered, "why is Grandma mad?" Marilyn crouched, opening her arms. "Oh, sweet girl, Grandma isn't mad at you." I moved between them. "Don't touch her." Marilyn stood slowly. "See, Ethan? This is what I mean. She uses the child as a shield." I looked at my husband. "Your mother is poisoning you." Ethan's face twisted. "My mother is the only person brave enough to tell me the truth." "The truth?" I said. "The truth is I have been faithful to you. The truth is that man fixed our laundry room leak. Are you with your own family?" He grabbed one of the photos and shoved it toward me. "Then swear it." "I have told you the truth." "Swear the baby is mine." I looked down at my belly, then at Lily. Her eyes were wet and huge. "No," I said. Ethan blinked. "No? I will not put my dignity on trial to satisfy a lie." His hand came up before I realized he had moved. "I will not turn that moment into entertainment. I will not dress it up with slow motion or dramatic music. I will only say this, the sound of it was smaller than I expected. The damage was not. My cheek burned. My shoulder hit the edge of the island. Pain shot down my side, and I folded over my belly with a sound I did not recognize as mine. Lily screamed. "Daddy, no." Ethan went white. His hand dropped like it no longer belonged to him. Marilyn stepped back. For the first time all night, nobody had anything to say. I stood slowly, one hand holding my stomach, the other pressed to the counter. Something in me had cracked, but not the way they expected. I did not feel weaker. I felt finished. Finished begging to be believed. Finished making excuses for a man who was old enough to know better. Finished letting Marilyn wrap cruelty in lace and call it love. I took Lily's hand. "Claire," Ethan whispered. "I didn't mean dash, do not finish that sentence." He took a step toward me. I stepped back. "You don't get to come near me. You don't get to touch me. You don't get to cry your way out of this." Marilyn's face hardened. "You're being dramatic." I turned to her. "You have no idea what dramatic looks like yet." I grabbed Lily's raincoat from the hook. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely get her arms through the sleeves. Lily kept crying quietly, but she followed every instruction. Shoes. Bunny. Coat. No questions. Ethan stood there like a man watching his house burn and only then realizing he had been holding the match. "Please," he said. It was 1 second. I opened the front door. Cold rain blew into the foyer. 1 second was enough. I stepped onto the porch with Lily pressed against my side. The storm swallowed the streetlights. I did not know where I was going. I only knew I could not stay. Then my phone buzzed. A text from Mrs. Alvarez. "Claire, I have video of Marilyn paying the photographer. Do not go back inside." I stared at the screen until the words blurred. Behind me, Ethan called my name. I looked at the rain, at my daughter, at the message that had just turned my humiliation into evidence. And for the first time that night, I smiled. Not because I was happy. Because they had no idea what was coming. My sister got to my house in 14 minutes, and she arrived like a woman prepared to drag a body out of a burning building. Rachel did not ask what happened on the phone. She heard my voice, asked if Lily and I were alive, and said, "I'm coming." That was it. Her headlights cut through the rain as she pulled up behind Marilyn's Lexus. Rachel got out wearing pajama pants, a Georgetown hoodie, and the expression of someone who had been waiting years for an excuse to stop being polite. Ethan came onto the porch. Rachel, please. I need to talk to my wife. Rachel stepped between us so fast I almost missed it. No, you need to back up. This is between me and Claire. Rachel looked at my cheek. Not anymore. Marilyn appeared behind Ethan. This family does not need an audience. Rachel laughed once. Lady, you hired an audience with a camera. Marilyn's mouth shut. That tiny silence told me Mrs. Alvarez had been right. Rachel put one arm around me and one around Lily. Car. Now. Ethan tried again. Claire, please. I lost control. Rachel turned on him. You lost control for 1 second. She has to remember it for the rest of her life. Lily climbed into the back seat and buckled herself with shaking hands. I slid in beside her because I could not leave her alone in that darkness. She leaned against my belly, her bunny squeezed under her chin. Mommy, she whispered as Rachel pulled away, is Daddy bad now? That question hurt worse than my cheek. I brushed wet hair from her forehead. Daddy did something very bad. And when someone hurts us, we get safe first. We figure out the rest later. She nodded like a child trying to understand an adult world that had failed her. It smelled safe. Any bleeding? She asked. No. Cramping? Some tightness. Pain in the belly? Only where I hit the island. She checked me with careful hands, then placed the Doppler low on my stomach. For 4 seconds, there was only static. Then the room filled with the rapid gallop of my son's heartbeat. Lily burst into tears. Rachel covered her mouth. I closed my eyes and let the sound break me open. He was still there. Alive. Moving. Unaware that before he had even taken his first breath, his grandmother had tried to erase him from his father's heart. Dana told me to go to the hospital if anything changed, then gave Rachel a list of warning signs and hugged me before leaving. At 2 a.m., Mrs. Alvarez arrived in a raincoat and slippers. She carried her phone like it was a weapon. I should have said something sooner, she told me. I thought maybe I was being nosy. Then I saw what happened tonight on my porch camera when you left. I heard Lily scream through the door. I'm done minding my own business. Rachel made coffee. Mrs. Alvarez refused to sit until she showed us the video. It was taken from inside her parked car, through a windshield speckled with rain. The angle was clear enough. Marilyn stood outside a Starbucks near Lee Highway. A young man with a camera bag stood in front of her. She handed him an envelope. Her voice was crisp. I need the photos to look intimate. Nothing obvious. Just enough to make my son doubt her. The young man said, Lady, I can't fake an affair. Marilyn replied, I'm not asking you to fake one. I'm asking you to capture what people choose to see. Then she added the sentence that made my blood go cold. My son is weak when it comes to her. I just need to break the spell. Rachel paused the video. No one spoke. Mrs. Alvarez touched my shoulder. I'm sorry, honey. I stared at Marilyn's frozen face on the screen. All this because I married her son. Rachel shook her head. No. All this because he let her believe he still belonged to her. That was the truth I did not want. It was easier to hate Marilyn. Cleaner. She was the snake in the garden, the voice in Ethan's ear, the woman who paid for the photos and smiled while my marriage cracked open. But Ethan had opened the door for her every time. Every time he said, she means well. Every time he said, don't make me choose. Every time he made me apologize just to keep the peace. The next morning, I woke on Rachel's couch with Lily asleep beside me and 23 missed calls from Ethan. There were texts too. Please answer. I need to know you're safe. I'm sorry. Mom lied. I didn't know. Claire, please. I read them all without feeling anything at first. Shocked as that. It coats your heart in ice so you can survive the first hours. Then I sent him one message. Your mother paid for the photos. Mrs. Alvarez recorded her. You hit me in front of Lily. Do not come to Rachel's apartment. He called again. I declined. He texted. I need to see you. I replied. You need to get a lawyer, a therapist, and the truth. In that order. Rachel and I met with an attorney named Monique Ellis that afternoon. She had a calm voice, sharp eyes, and a way of asking questions that made me feel less crazy. Do you want divorce proceedings started immediately? She asked. I looked down at my hands. I don't know yet. That's allowed. I want distance. I want protection. I want him to understand there are consequences. Monique nodded. Then we begin with documentation, a written boundary notice, and a temporary visitation plan for your daughter. If his mother approaches you, your child, or your home, we escalate. Rachel leaned forward. Can we escalate now? Monique almost smiled. We escalate with precision, not emotion. I liked her immediately. For 2 days, Ethan did not see us. On the 3rd day, he sent me an audio file. I almost deleted it. Rachel said, listen. Not because he deserves it. Because information is power. So I played it. At first, there was rustling, then Ethan's voice, raw and unfamiliar. How long have you been doing this? Marilyn answered, doing what? Manipulating me. Lying to me. Making my wife look like an enemy. I was protecting you. From my pregnant wife? From being made a fool. No, Mom. You made me one. Then a silence. Marilyn's voice changed. The softness disappeared. She was taking you from me. She's my wife. I was your mother first. That doesn't give you ownership. You don't understand what loneliness does. I understand what violence does now. My throat tightened. Marilyn said, don't you dare blame me for your hand. I blame myself for that. But I blame you for the gasoline. Another silence. Longer. Then Marilyn said, low and cold, if you go back to her, you lose me. Ethan's answer came after 3 seconds. Then maybe I lost you a long time ago. The audio ended. Rachel watched my face. How do you feel? I wanted to say relieved. Vindicated. Hopeful. Instead, I said, tired. Because a correct sentence does not erase a raised hand. A son finally seeing his mother clearly does not magically turn him back into a safe husband. Truth is not a time machine. Still, something shifted. Not toward forgiveness. Toward reality. That Saturday, I took Lily to a park near Rachel's apartment. I wanted her to run. I wanted her to remember that the world still had slides and ducks and muddy grass and other children screaming for ordinary reasons. She wore a purple jacket and carried Bunny under one arm. She climbed the little rock wall 6 times and kept looking back to make sure I was watching. I watched every second. Rachel sat beside me on a bench with pepper spray in her coat pocket because she was Rachel. I was opening a snack bag when Lily froze. I followed her eyes. Marilyn was walking toward us across the grass. She wore sunglasses even though the sky was cloudy. In one hand she carried a pink gift bag. Her smile was trembling in that theatrical way women like her use when they want witnesses. My sweet Lily, she called. Grandma brought you something. Lily stepped behind my legs. My whole body went hot. I stood. You need to leave. Marilyn looked wounded. Claire, don't be cruel. She's my granddaughter. She is my daughter. A child needs her family. A child needs safety. Rachel already had her phone out, recording. Marilyn noticed. Her mouth tightened. This is unnecessary. No, Rachel said. This is overdue. Marilyn took another step. Lily, honey, Grandma loves you. Your mommy is just very upset right now. I felt Lily grip my coat. Something inside me snapped clean. You do not speak to my child through me. You do not make yourself the victim in front of her. And you do not come near us after paying someone to destroy her home. People nearby started looking. Good. Then Ethan appeared at the edge of the park, running. For 1 second, I thought he had brought her. But when he saw Marilyn, his face changed. Mom, he said. Back away. Marilyn turned, startled. Ethan, thank God. Tell her this is ridiculous. He kept walking until he was between Marilyn and us, but he did not touch me. He did not reach for Lily. He stood at a distance, like he understood distance was the only gift he had any right to give. I told you not to come here, he said. Marilyn's lips parted. You told me not to go to Rachel's apartment. I told you not to contact them. I am not some stranger. No, Ethan said. You're worse. A stranger would have had less power to hurt them. Marilyn's eyes filled. How can you speak to me like this? His voice shook. Because my daughter is hiding behind her mother because of what happened in our kitchen. Because my wife is standing in a park afraid of both of us. Because you helped build the lie I used to break my family. The gift bag slipped from Marilyn's hand. A stuffed rabbit fell onto the wet grass. Lily stared at it. Marilyn whispered, I only wanted my son. Ethan's face crumpled, but he did not soften. You had a son. You just couldn't stand that I became a husband and father too. Lily peeked around me. Daddy? Ethan dropped to one knee, still several feet away. Hi, Peanut. Are you gonna yell? His eyes filled with tears. No. And if I ever feel that angry again, I'm going to leave the room before I scare you. I'm getting help so I don't become that man again. She did not run to him. I was proud of her for that, though it hurt. She asked, is Grandma in trouble? Ethan looked at Marilyn. Yes, he said. She is. Marilyn made a sound like she had been slapped. But this time, no one touched her. That afternoon, I learned the first twist was not that Ethan finally stood up to his mother. It was that I no longer needed him to do it in order to save me. I had already saved myself. The bigger twist came 4 days later, when the photographer called my attorney. His name was Ryan Cole. He was 24, broke, and terrified because Marilyn had threatened to ruin him online if he admitted she hired him. He told Monique he had all the original messages. Not just about the photos. About the plan. Marilyn had not only hired him to follow me. She had asked him to send one anonymous message to Ethan from a fake number after the photos were delivered. The message said, "Ask your wife why the baby looks nothing like you." Ethan had never told me that part. When Monique read it aloud in her office, I felt the room tilt. Rachel cursed under her breath. I looked at Ethan, who had come because Monique requested both parents attend the custody boundary meeting. His face drained of color. "You got that message?" I asked. He closed his eyes. "Yes. And you didn't tell me?" I was ashamed. "No," I said. "You were suspicious." He looked like he wanted me to hit him so the scales would balance. I did not. Monique placed printed screenshots on the table. Marilyn's messages were neat and damning. Make it believable. He trusts her too much. He needs doubt, not proof. Once he asks about the baby, she'll show her true colors. Ryan had replied several times that he was uncomfortable. Marilyn had written, "I'm paying you for photos, not your conscience." I stared at that line for a long time. A woman who could write that did not lose control. She made choices. Precise ones. Marilyn received a legal warning that week. No contact with me. No contact with Lily. No showing up at Rachel's apartment, the school, the park, the hospital, or my doctor's office. Any further contact would be documented for a protective order. Ethan signed a temporary agreement too. Supervised visits with Lily at Rachel's apartment or a family counseling center. No unannounced visits. No discussing reconciliation in front of Lily. No contact during visits except what I allowed. Anger management. Individual therapy. Parenting counseling. When he signed, his hand shook. "Claire," he said quietly, "I know this paper makes me look like a monster." I looked at him. "No. Your actions did that. The paper just tells the truth." He nodded and signed. For 3 weeks, Ethan saw Lily only in Rachel's living room. The first visit was awful. Not because he behaved badly. Because he behaved carefully. And careful Ethan broke my heart more than angry Ethan, because careful Ethan looked like the man I used to trust. He brought Lily a yellow daisy and a new puzzle with 100 pieces. He asked Rachel where he should sit. He asked Lily if she wanted him close or far. He did not hug her until she nodded. They sat on the rug together. I stayed in the kitchen doorway with one hand on my belly. Lily placed puzzle pieces in little piles. Ethan watched her like she was something fragile he had almost dropped off a cliff. At one point, she looked up and said, "My baby brother moves when you talk." Ethan covered his mouth. His shoulders shook, but he did not make a sound. I turned away because I did not want to feel sorry for him. Feeling sorry was dangerous. It made doors look softer than they were. After he left, Lily asked if Daddy could come again. I said yes. Then I went into Rachel's bathroom, locked the door, and cried so hard I had to sit on the floor. I missed my husband. I hated my husband. I wanted him to suffer. I wanted him to heal. All of those things lived inside me at once, and none of them canceled the others. That is what people do not understand about betrayal. It does not turn love off like a light. It turns it into a room full of broken glass, and every memory walks barefoot. Ethan started therapy the next week. He did not announce it like a hero. He sent one screenshot of his appointment confirmation and one message. "I am not asking you to forgive me fast. I am trying to become someone who never makes you afraid again." It was the first thing he had said that did not sound like an excuse. Marilyn did not choose healing. She chose war. She called Ethan from blocked numbers. She emailed him articles about parental alienation. She told her church group that I had stolen her son and weaponized her grandchild. She mailed Lily a card with no return address that said, "Grandma will always love you even if Mommy is angry." Monique kept every envelope. Rachel wanted to drive to Marilyn's house and staple the legal notice to her forehead. I told her no. Barely. Then, 1 month after the night in the kitchen, Mrs. Alvarez found Marilyn unconscious in her living room. Marilyn had not answered calls from a neighbor who usually drove her to a church committee meeting. Mrs. Alvarez, still friends with everyone on our old street, went over and saw her through the front window on the floor near the couch. She called 911. Ethan called me from outside Virginia Hospital Center. "I'm not asking you to come," he said immediately. "I just wanted you to hear it from me in case Lily hears something from someone else." "What happened?" "They think it was a cardiac episode. She's stable. Scared. Angry. Mostly scared." I closed my eyes. Rachel, across the room, mouthed, "Don't go." I looked at Lily coloring at the coffee table. She was drawing 4 stick figures under a sun. One had a big round belly. One was tiny in a blanket. One had yellow hair like Ethan. One had gray hair and a cane even though Marilyn did not use a cane. Children keep drawing people back into the family portrait long after adults deserve to be erased from it. I'll bring Lily, I said. Not for Marilyn. For my daughter. Ethan was silent. Then he said, thank you. Don't thank me. Respect the rules. I will. At the hospital, Marilyn looked smaller. That was the only word. Smaller. Without her perfect hair, her lipstick, her ironed blouse, and the home field advantage of her own living room, she was just an older woman in a hospital bed with bruised hands and fear in her eyes. Lily held a paper flower she had made in the car. She stopped at the door. He coached beside her. You don't have to go in. She looked at Marilyn. Is she gonna say mommy is bad? I heard Ethan inhale sharply behind us. I said, if she does, we leave. Lily thought about that. Then she walked in. Marilyn started crying before Lily reached the bed. Not pretty crying. Not the soft performance tears she used when Ethan disappointed her. This was ugly, broken crying. The kind that shakes the throat and ruins the face. Hi, Grandma, Lily said. I made you a flower. Marilyn reached for it, then stopped and looked at me. May I? That question startled me more than any apology could have. Yes, I said. She took the flower like it was glass. Lily looked at her seriously. You have to get better so you can meet my brother. But you can't make mommy cry anymore. Marilyn covered her mouth. I felt Rachel stiffen beside me. She had come because I refused to go alone. Marilyn looked at me. Claire, she said, and my name sounded scraped raw. I hurt you because I was afraid of being left behind. I said nothing. She swallowed. That does not excuse it. I know that. I lied to my son. I put you in danger. I put Lily in the middle. I made him doubt his own child before that child even had a name. Ethan looked down. Marilyn's eyes moved to my belly. I don't deserve to meet him. No, I said. The room went still. Marilyn nodded as if she had expected the sentence. I continued. You don't deserve access just because you are related. You don't deserve trust because you are sorry. You don't deserve my child because you are lonely. Her tears kept falling, but she did not interrupt. I brought Lily because I do not want her to learn that hatred is the only inheritance adults can leave behind. But my boundaries are not changing. Marilyn whispered, I understand. I need you to understand more than words. No private visits. No surprise appearances. No messages through other people. No guilt. No calling yourself abandoned when you are being held accountable. She nodded. And if you ever try to make Lily question me again, that will be the last time you see either of my children. Ethan looked at me then, not with anger, not with embarrassment, but with something like awe. I did not want his awe. I wanted his respect. For the first time in 6 years, Marilyn gave me something close to it. I accept, she said. I did not know if she meant it forever. But I believed she meant it in that moment. Not because she had become good. Because she had lost the throne from which she had done harm. Some people change because love teaches them. Others change because consequences finally do. My son was born 5 weeks later, just after 3 a.m. on a freezing December morning. The contractions started at Rachel's apartment while Lily was asleep on the couch under a pink blanket. At first, I thought they were Braxton Hicks. Then I stood up and felt a warm rush down my legs. Rachel looked at the floor. Oh, she said. Okay. Baby time. She became terrifyingly efficient. Bag. Phone. Towels. Lily's overnight backpack. Hospital papers. She called Dana. Then she called Ethan because we had agreed he could be present for the birth if I still wanted him there. When Ethan arrived, he did not burst in. He knocked. That almost made me cry. Rachel opened the door with murder in her eyes. Rules. I know, Ethan said. He came into the living room slowly. I was bent over the arm of the couch, breathing through a contraction, sweating and furious at every man who had ever said childbirth was beautiful. Ethan crouched a few feet away. Can I help? I glared at him. You can come. You cannot take over. Yes. You can hold my hand if I ask. Yes. You can shut up unless spoken to. Rachel said, that one is my favorite. Ethan nodded. Yes. At the hospital, labor was long and brutal. There was no soft music, no glowing movie moment, no magical repair of our marriage under fluorescent lights. There was pain, blood pressure checks, nurses moving fast, me cursing once so loudly and in turn dropped a glove. Ethan stayed. He did not tell me to calm down. He did not make decisions over me. He asked nurses what I wanted. He repeated my words when I was too tired to say them loudly. He put ice chips near my mouth and pulled them back when I snapped, not now. At one point, during the worst of it, I grabbed his hand. I'm scared, I whispered. His eyes filled. I'm here. I squeezed hard enough to hurt him. You don't get to be the scary thing anymore. He broke then. Just for a second. I know. When our son finally cried, the sound tore through the room like a new law being written. He was tiny, red, furious, and perfect. The nurse placed him on my chest, and I looked down at his wrinkled face while the world went quiet around us. "Hi, Noah," I whispered. We had chosen the name months earlier, before suspicion, before photos, before the kitchen. I had thought I might change it just because Ethan loved it too. But looking at my son, I knew the name belonged to him, not to the pain around his arrival. Ethan stood beside the bed with both hands over his mouth. He did not reach for the baby. He waited. That mattered. After a minute, I looked at him. "Do you want to touch his foot?" He nodded like I had offered him mercy he did not deserve. With one finger, he touched Noah's tiny heel. "I'm so sorry," he whispered. I knew he was not saying it only to the baby. Lily came later that morning with Rachel. Her hair was crooked, her boots were on the wrong feet, and she carried Bunny under one arm. She climbed carefully onto the bed and stared at her brother. "He looks like a grumpy potato," she said. I laughed. A real laugh. The first one in weeks. Ethan laughed too, then stopped, like he was not sure he had permission. Lily looked at him. "You can laugh, Daddy." "He does." Noah made a tiny snort. For a moment, we were almost a family. Almost. I had learned not to build a house on almost. Marilyn met Noah 2 days later under strict conditions. Rachel present. Ethan present. 20 minutes. No holding him unless I offered. No. She arrived with trembling hands and a knitted blue blanket. She stopped at the hospital room doorway. "I won't come closer unless you say I can." The old Marilyn would have swept in, kissed Ethan, taken the baby, and called it love. This Marilyn waited. "You can come in," I said. She walked to the foot of the bed and looked at Noah. Her face crumpled. "He's beautiful." I watched her carefully. "Yes, he is." She held out the blanket but did not move toward him. "I made this before everything. I don't expect you to use it." I took it. "Thank you." She cried again, silently this time. "May I ask one thing?" Rachel shifted like a guard dog. I said, "You may ask." "Does he have a middle name?" "Noah James." Marilyn closed her eyes. James had been Ethan's father. Ethan looked at me, stunned. I did not choose the name for Marilyn. I chose it because Ethan's father had been kind to me. Quiet, gentle, always washing dishes after dinner because he said guests should never leave with tired hands. He had once told me, while Marilyn was in another room criticizing my pie crust, "You don't have to win every battle to know your worth." I remembered that. Marilyn whispered, "Thank you. It wasn't for you." "I know." She stayed 17 minutes. She did not ask to hold him. She did not about forgiveness. When she left, Rachel looked disappointed. "What?" I asked. I was ready to throw her out. "Maybe next time." Rachel smiled. "That's my sister." The months that followed were not a movie montage where music played and everyone healed on schedule. They were hard. Ethan kept going to therapy. So did I. Lily saw a child counselor who helped her understand that love should not make your stomach hurt. Sometimes she drew our house with a storm cloud over it. Sometimes she drew Rachel's apartment with sunshine. Once, she drew Daddy standing outside a door holding a toolbox. When the counselor asked what he was fixing, Lily said, "Himself." I kept that drawing. Ethan and I did not move back in together right away. For a while, I stayed with Rachel and the kids. Then I rented a small townhouse 8 minutes from Lily's school. Ethan helped pay for it without complaint. He offered to assemble furniture, and when I said no, he dropped off the boxes and left. That was one of the small things. Not flowers. Not speeches. Not crying in my driveway. Leaving when I asked him to leave. He attended parenting classes. He gave me access to his therapy attendance records even though I did not ask for details. He wrote Lily letters after each visit, not begging her to love him, just telling her what he was working on. One said, "Today I learned that saying sorry is not the same as making someone feel safe. I am going to practice being safe." Lily kept that one in her nightstand. Marilyn followed the rules because Monique made sure the rules had teeth. At first, I think she obeyed because she was afraid of losing access. Later, maybe, she obeyed because she began to understand that access was not love. Presence without respect is just invasion. She went to therapy too. Ethan told me, not as a plea, just as information. I did not clap. I did not congratulate him for his mother becoming less destructive. But I noticed. There was one more twist I never expected. It happened in April, at a supervised family session Ethan had requested. I agreed because Lily wanted both parents in the room for a talking appointment, as she called it. The counselor asked Ethan what he wanted Lily to know. Ethan looked at our daughter, then at me. "I want her to know her mother did not break our family." My chest tightened. He continued. "I did. Grandma helped create the lie, but I chose to believe it. I chose to scare Mommy. I chose to make the kitchen unsafe. That was not Mommy's fault. It was not Lily's fault. It was mine. Lily's eyes filled. But Grandma said Mommy took you away. Ethan swallowed. Grandma was wrong. Adults can be wrong, even when they sound sure. I looked at him then. For months, I had been waiting for him to ask me to come back. He did not. He did something better. He gave Lily the truth without making himself the hero. After the session, we stood in the parking lot beside my car. Noah slept in his carrier. Lily was buckling Bunny into the back seat. Ethan said, I'm filing a statement with Monique. About the night in the kitchen. Full accountability. No minimizing. I stared at him. Why? Because if custody ever becomes legal, I don't want you to have to prove what I already know I did. That was the second time he left me speechless. Not because it fixed everything. Because real accountability is rare enough to feel like a plot twist. By late spring, we could stand near each other without my body preparing for danger. That may not sound romantic, but to me, it was enormous. I almost said no because the fair was 3 blocks from the house where everything happened. Then I said yes because I was tired of shrinking my life around other people's damage. Ethan met us there. Marilyn came too, invited by Lily, approved by me, monitored by Rachel, who wore sunglasses and looked like private security. Lily wore a flower crown she had made at a booth. Noah slept against my chest in a carrier. Ethan pushed the empty stroller because Lily insisted Bunny needed a ride. Marilyn walked slowly beside Rachel, not speaking unless spoken to. That alone felt like a miracle. After Lily sang, we wandered past a plant stand. Small pots of basil, lavender, and bright pink petunias lined the table. Lily picked up a little pot of purple pansies. For Mommy's new house, she said. I smiled. Why this one? Because it was squished in the corner but it's still growing. Rachel looked away fast. Ethan's eyes shone. Marilyn pressed her lips together and said nothing. The old her would have turned the moment into a speech about family roots or second chances. Her silence was the first truly generous thing she had ever given me. I bought the pansies. Ethan walked with me toward the parking lot while Rachel took Lily to get lemonade and Marilyn stood with the stroller a few yards away, hands visible, waiting. Ethan stopped beside my car. I know I don't get to ask where this ends, he said. No, I replied. You don't. I know. The wind moved through the trees. Somewhere behind us, Lily laughed. I can't promise I was a good man that night, he said. I wasn't. I can't promise I deserved you then. I didn't. All I can promise is that I'll keep doing the small things, even if you never come back. I looked at him for a long time. I don't want big promises. I know. I want small facts. He nodded. Every day. I placed Noah's diaper bag in the car. I don't know if our marriage survives. His face tightened, but he did not argue. I know, he said. But I know this. If you ever walk beside me again, it will be because you respect me. Not because you feel guilty. Not because your mother allows it. Not because I got tired of being angry. I understand. I believed he did. That night, after the fair, I put the pansies on the windowsill of my townhouse. Lily made a little sign from a popsicle stick and paper. She wrote, "Family that learns." I stuck the sign in the soil. Noah slept in his bassinet. Lily curled up on the couch with Bunny. Outside, the spring rain began softly, nothing like the violent storm from that night. This rain sounded clean. I did not know what forgiveness would look like for me. People talk about forgiveness like it is a door you open once. For me, it was more like learning where to place locks. Maybe one day I would open some of them. Maybe some would stay closed forever. But I knew what justice looked like. It was not Marilyn destroyed and Ethan ruined and me standing over ashes. It was Marilyn learning that love without boundaries is not love at all. It was Ethan telling the truth even when it made him look small. It was Lily knowing her mother did not stay quiet to keep a fake peace. It was Noah growing up in rooms where nobody used fear as proof of devotion. It was me looking in the mirror and no longer seeing the woman who had fallen against a kitchen island with one hand over her unborn child. I saw a mother who stood up in the rain. A woman who carried her daughter out. A wife who refused to confuse apology with safety. A daughter-in-law who finally understood that some people only call you cruel when you stop letting them control the story. Months later, Ethan came by to pick Lily up for a supervised Saturday visit that had slowly become less supervised over time. He stood on the porch, holding a backpack and Noah's favorite teething toy, because he had remembered I said the baby cried in the car without it. Marilyn waited in the passenger seat of his car, hands folded in her lap. She did not come to the door. Ethan smiled softly. I brought the toy. I see that. Small fact? I tried not to smile. Small fact. Lily ran out with Bunny under one arm and hugged his legs. Noah reached for him from my hip, drooling and delighted. Ethan looked at me for permission before taking him. I nodded. He lifted our son carefully, like trust had weight. Before they left, Lily turned back. Mommy, are the pansies still alive? I looked through the doorway at the purple flowers on the windowsill. Yes, I said. They're still growing. She grinned. Good. That means the house is learning. After they drove away, I stood on the porch for a while. The old me would have thought a happy ending meant the family going back exactly as it was. Now I knew better. Some endings are not circles. Some are lines drawn clearly in the ground. Some are doors that open only after the person outside learns how to knock. And some are women standing alone on a quiet porch, not abandoned, not broken, not waiting to be chosen, but finally choosing themselves. I went back inside, watered the pansies, and watched the soil darken. For the first time in a long time, I did not feel like I had survived the story someone else wrote for me. I felt like I had taken the pen back.